name is Felicia Wright, and this is the Go Rogue podcast. Do you feel stuck? Does every day feel like Groundhog's Day? Well, I'm here to tell you it's time to take charge of your life and know that you are meant for more than this. It's time to go rogue. This podcast is for people that are ready to say enough is enough and discover their new normal with entrepreneurship. Get ready because your rogue journey starts now. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Go Rogue podcast. I'm super excited. This is episode 33, and today I am talking about the absolute must-haves when starting your own side business, side hustle, or even if that side hustle turns into a full-fledged business, which is what we all want, right? So let's go ahead and dive on into it. So I wanted to put together a list of things that you absolutely need to have just to get started. Because when I got started, I wasn't sure exactly what I needed. I just knew I needed an idea, and then I didn't know anything else outside of that. So I really wanted to dive into that today for this podcast. So one of the first thing that you absolutely have to have if you're starting your side business that you hope to turn into a full-fledged business is a business. And I know that sounds really silly, but you're going to need a business. So what do you want to even do? Is it a service-based business? Is it a product-based business? Are you going to be a podcast manager, a social media manager? Maybe you even run accountability, or you're a business coach. So you have to decide what kind of service you are offering to people and what you're going to charge for that, because there is no business without a business. So you really have to sit down and come up with some ideas. And I want to go over, don't get caught up in having it completely perfect the first time. Like, I know I always get caught up, like, especially at the beginning. I've gotten a lot better about this, but at the beginning, I would get caught up in, is this a perfect idea? Is this exactly what I'm going to do with the rest of my life? Don't get caught up in that, because more than likely it's not what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. You're going to change and evolve, and that's okay. And I think that's something that we all need to shed. Our lives are long. We change over time, and things change over time. So why are we so hung up on the fact that it's like, oh, it just has to be the same for the rest of my life, no matter what? So that's something that I want you to think about. So just when you're brainstorming what you want to do, just be aware that it might change over time, and that's okay, and it might not. If it doesn't, great. Like, if you get it right the first time and that's what you want to do forever, cheers to you, because that was not me. But I want you to really be aware that you might change, and if you do, so what? Like, you're just going to evolve and move into bigger and better things. So have a business, pick something that you at least feel really comfortable with trying, and go full steam ahead. The second thing I want to go over is, when you are starting a business, you're going to need some kind of agreement, especially if you are taking on clients, because I'm speaking from my point of view, from my experience. So I started out in the service-based side. I'm working on the product-based side, but I started out in the service-based side. I'm still doing the service-based side. So with the service-based side, you're going to need an agreement between you and the client. Whoever you are working with, you need to put an agreement in place. Because here's the thing. When you start talking to people, you're going to find people that you absolutely love. You just can't get enough of talking to them. It's like, you are my person. I am so excited to work with you, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But you have to have an agreement, because it's important for both parties to see both the stuff in black and white. So what you're going to be doing together needs to be put down in black and white, and both parties need to sign. This is so important, because things get lost in translation. So say you're communicating over email or Facebook Messenger. You may think you talked about one thing, and they may think they talked about something else. And even if you are looking at the message, it's important to put it in black and white and sign off on it, because memories become hazy over time. So if you're working with a client, say for 2 months, or even just, let's just say a month, when you think back to when you first had that conversation about what you were going to be doing together or what they were looking for, you're going to forget. And that was a pivotal mistake I made in the very beginning. I thought I was going to be able to remember everything. That is not the case, because when you're first starting out, you talk to like 2-3 people and you're like, I can remember all that. Like, you kind of start to think like, oh, this isn't a problem. I'm remembering this, so I'm going to continue. But as you talk to more and more people, names get jumbled, conversations get mixed up in the crosshairs, and you're going to completely forget what you talked about. So when something comes up in a relationship between you and your client, it's important to have an agreement to go back to and talk about it. So say you have like, not even necessarily an argument, but you just look at something and it's like, hey, I thought you were going to do that, or I thought I was going to do this. You can always go back to that agreement and discuss what you guys agreed upon at the very beginning and stay within the guidelines of that agreement. That is so very important. And to be completely honest with you, out of my entire business, I've only worked with one person without an agreement. And honestly, it wasn't even at the beginning. From the very beginning, I had an agreement contract in place. And this was somebody I trusted. So I was like, yeah, like we'll do it without it. And it did not end well. It did not end well at all. So don't do that to yourself. And to be completely honest, when I did it, I knew better. I absolutely knew better, but I did it anyway because I felt like we had a good relationship. We trusted each other. But as things go on, people forget what was discussed, especially if you discuss it on the phone where there's no written record of it anywhere. So you're just operating off of people's memories, and that's a bad way to go. So don't do that. Always have an agreement in place, even with a friend. So even if you're bartering, if you don't know, like you can barter services with people. So say one person's going to give you 10 hours of VA time and you're going to help them with their podcast, you should still put that in an agreement just so all parties are aware of what's going on. So that one was a doozy. Sorry about that. That was a doozy, but it's necessary and it's actually fairly easy to do. So put things down in black and white. The third thing is that you're going to need a payment gateway. How are you going to collect payment that's easy for both of you? So now, when I started, I didn't really have that many local clients, and meeting with people in person wasn't too much of an option for me. I could do it, but it was hard because I was still teaching. So meeting virtually and doing everything virtually was essential for me because I couldn't go to networking events during the day because I was in the classroom. And the ones at night, I was exhausted. So I couldn't get to many of those. So I had to network online, and I found that I was getting clients that were not within the state. So I had to have some kind of payment gateway, a way to collect payments from people. So that is something that you need to put together and find, which is really easy to do. I use a software called ActionAnd. I'll put it in the show notes. It's a software where you can do contracts, proposals, and collect payment through ActionAnd. And that's through another payment gateway, which is WePay. But once you get in there, you can set it all up and see what it's like. But that is how I collect payments from people. There's a million other things, like you can do PayPal. I know Dubsado is another contract proposal situation where you can collect payment as well. I don't know much information about that. But there's a lot of things out there. So you just have to spend like an hour. I wouldn't even say it would take you an hour. I would say probably 30 minutes to figure out how you're going to collect payment from potential clients to get started. It might take you an hour just to learn the software, but it's not that much time that you have to invest to get this going. And the fourth thing I wanted to go over, and absolutely must have when starting your side business is, what do you need? Clients. Absolutely. Everybody needs clients. It's important because there is no business unless somebody's willing to buy from you, work with you. There is no business. So clients, you're going to have clients. And when I started in the beginning, I didn't want anybody knowing what I was doing, which makes no sense. People are going to have to know what you're doing. I almost want to say unfortunately, but it's not unfortunate. It's a good thing. You want people to know what you're doing because they might know other people that need you, or they might need you. So it's important to stand in your truth of what you're doing and be proud of it. And I'm going down this path of telling you that because I was the complete opposite. I wanted to do it on the side and let nobody know what was going on because I didn't want to have to field questions. And in my head, I was like, well, what if it fails? And I just put myself out here in this big way. But you can't think that way. You just know that if you get out there and you fail, you have grown so much just from the simple act of trying and getting yourself out there. I've talked about this. I actually talked about this in a couple podcasts that I was interviewed on, but there was years where I didn't try anything new. I was just kind of going to work, doing the thing. And I didn't try anything new. I was just going through the motions. And then those months turned into years. And before you know it, I was kind of doing the same thing for years on end and not doing anything different. But once I started this, through all the failures, I realized like I've learned so much by just trying to do something different, which is really exciting. As a former teacher, I love to learn, and it's been amazing that in the beginning, I barely knew how to put a little graphic together. Now I know how to put together complicated graphics. I didn't know anything about a website. Now I know all the website hosting platforms. I can put together a website for anybody. It's such a cool experience just learning new things. And it's like another notch on my belt. It's like, now I can build a website and now I can take on clients, and it's actually really fun. So even if you are thinking, well, what if I fail? Think about like all the things you could potentially learn. It's so much fun and you can help more people. I love helping people, and through my experience, I've learned so much. So it's really exciting. So those are the absolute must-haves when you're starting your side business. I want you to, if you are considering it, definitely get on the bandwagon and just start trying new things. If you are like completely stuck at one point, see, like when I go over these things, these are struggles that I went through. So that's why I discuss them. But in the beginning, I was like, well, I don't even understand like what the French toast I would do. Like what would I do with myself? I'm a teacher. I don't know anything else, which was not true, but I'm just saying it because I know other people are saying it to themselves. So I have a free 4-day video series that will help you do that. I've actually experimented with this with other people, and they said it has helped them so much, and it actually helped me identify what I was inherently good at. So definitely check that out. It's called Finding Your Purpose Journey. I know it sounds very frou-frou, but I promise you it's not, and it will really be helpful if you're trying to figure out what to do with yourself. So it's going to be in the show notes, but you can also find it at bit.ly/yourpurposejourney. So head over there and check out that free 4-day video series, completely free. And you can also find it in the show notes. And before I hop off, I wanted to talk about the partial government shutdown. If you don't know already, my husband works for TSA, and thankfully, my family is doing pretty well, especially with my business. We're doing pretty well over here, but there are a lot of families that are not. So I am doing the best I can to help other families that might be in need. So what I've done is I put together a group of people that are affected by the partial government shutdown. And I have been going into that group and offering free trainings on freelancing and helping them get whatever they want to get off the ground. And even if they don't want to do like a side business, it's just something in the meantime, in the interim, to help out these families, because a lot of families out there are struggling. So if you know you or a family member or somebody you love has been affected by the partial government shutdown, please have them head over to bit.ly/shutdownhelp. That's the group that everybody's in, and that's where I'm offering those free trainings on how to start freelancing. And there's some other business owners in there that are offering some free resources. There's somebody I connected with online that is offering it's like, it shows you how to eat on $1 a day, which can be life-changing for some of these families. There's somebody else that's offering their training at a very, very deep discount. So that is a place that they should be. So if you or somebody you love is affected by the shutdown, head over there. Also, I've put together a hire form. So if you are looking to hire for a virtual assistant or a social media manager, or maybe you need somebody to come and fix your sink, there are people from all over the country in there. So on the hire form, it's going to ask you if it's a local gig or if it is virtual. So you can put that down and say what you're looking for, what your budget is, and any job posting that is put in there, I share it with the group, and people can hopefully get a side hustle, just something in the meantime. So there's been a couple job postings on there that it's like, $150, $200 budget, which is fine. It's not replacing anybody's paycheck, but it's definitely helping people put gas in their car or food on the table. So please consider filling that out. I would say the link, but it's very long and I didn't put it on a bit.ly, whoopsie. So you can check it out in the show notes. So even if you're not hiring, please share it with your communities out there so we can help more families in need. So thank you so much for listening. I'm so happy to have each and every one of you listening. Please share that hire form and helping other people affected by the shutdown. So get out there, be brave, take action, and go rogue. Thanks.